Hi, everybody. Good evening or afternoon or morning. I don't know when you're watching this, but good that. I'm Tom Effling, and I am here with Joey from Autumn Rhythm.
Hi there. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, yeah. Joey is one of my favorite new musicians out right now. Excellent music. I found him like borderline from my fans also like on Spotify, so that's kind of what's funny about it. But excellent new kind of shoegazy, punky, indie rock, kind of drifty, loud, ripping guitar parts. How would you describe it, Joey? I feel like you can do a better job.
I feel like I'm out like what autumn rhythm is and what all my music is kind of just an amalgamation of the things that I've grown up listening to. And I never really know exactly what to describe us as, but I always feel like it's been something really specific to me because everything I write, all my original music comes from me teaching myself guitar. And I feel like to a degree I kind of have my own playing style that I've developed just because I've been isolated for so long, started making music in the pandemic. And since then, I've really just been trying to figure out how to incorporate parts of indie rock, parts of shoegaze, parts of punk, and just parts of straight rock and roll into the songs I make.
So that sets us up for a lot of questions I have for you. Just everything you said there. That was awesome. But I do want to like right off the bat, I want to talk about inspirations. I want to talk about music and non-music inspirations. So right off the bat, Autumn Rhythm. Did you name it after the Jackson Pollock painting?
I did, yeah. Autumn Rhythm is a huge painting about the size of my bedroom that hangs at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in the city. So uh, I remember when I was really little, like a toddler, my parents were kind of raising me on a steady diet of like highbrow highbrow fine art, modern art, contemporary art, stuff like that, and then a lot of music. And for me, like growing up when I was really young, I had this connection between art and music that has always kind of been a part of my ethos as like a creative person. So I was really super infatuated with like these works of art from when I was really little. I was, my parents would take me to the museum sometimes, and I would just kind of be in there looking at stuff, trying to understand stuff. And I feel like visual art, and specifically stuff by like Jackson Pollock, he's one of my favorite artists. It's always kind of connected to me just because it's like the first art I really remember being interested in. Um, I also picked the name just because I think that Autumn Rhythm, the painting itself, like most of Pollock's known work, more like commercial stuff you've heard about. It's really chaotic, really varied, very frenzied, and to me, I think it's kind of like a this huge. Oh, dude, I'm blanking. Is this going to be edited at all?
No.
Oh shit, man! I need to start sounding smart if I'm gonna.
No, you're fine. Keep it
I need to
honest.
start, I need, like, um, it kind of dances. It's one of those big drip splatter paintings that he's known for. So I feel like when I'm making music, I want it to be that varied. I want it to be that like spur of the moment, have that energy to it. And I think it's an analogy that works better live when we play because we can obviously be a lot louder, a lot noisier. But I've always thought that it connects to what I do because I try and be as an eclectic and varied and original as possible. And I feel like the painting is kind of a um good way to describe that. It also just sounds cool.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah. Are there any other visual artists or non-visual? I'm just talking non-music artists. Are there any in particular that you would want to highlight that you feel inform your music?
Um I feel like there's a lot of art, like fine art, or I guess I could just say visual art. A lot of visual artists who inspire me as a person. I don't know how often their like influence comes out in my music, but I feel like it's very personal to me. So anything that influences me also influences the stuff I make. So uh, I've always really liked Pablo Picasso. I'm a big fan of the like Dadaist painter Max Ernst,
Mhm.
who my solo project, Garden Airplane Trap, is named after one of his paintings. I don't remember how I ended up naming like two projects after like works of art, but he's another big one for me. Um, any other like non-visual artists that I'm into? I'm trying to think of like writers and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't consider myself to be like the most um educated person when it comes to stuff outside of music. I feel like music is a really um like broad art form for me, and sometimes it's hard to get out of that and explore other avenues. And I definitely like have in the past before, but sometimes when I'm thinking about like how they directly relate to my music, I'm just inspired to talk about musicians more.
I got you. Yeah, for sure. Um, so then I think just to wrap up the inspirations, kind of, we should probably talk about musical ones just because like when I listen to your music, I hear a lot of, I'm not saying rip-offs at all, but I'm saying direct lineages from a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
bands, especially from the 90s. I can
for
hear
sure.
a lot of that come out. So I would like, I mean, I feel like anybody could guess kind of what your like main influences are, but I'd like you to highlight those. And then any influences that you have musically that somebody wouldn't expect when they listen to your music. If
Oh
you have,
sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I think the one that like right now you could probably understand or like hear the most and when I'm currently writing what we're putting out right now. Hilariously, it's probably Hotline TNT. They're
really,
just a
oh,
yeah, for sure.
context, we were just talking about them, but
The first song on our last record, it's called Think Twice. I wrote that and like listened to it back and I was like, shit, dude, this sounds way too much like Hotline TNT.
Trinity.
Um, well, Trinity, yeah, for sure. But there's a couple songs I could probably trace that back to.
Uh,
For the record, I worked with Dylan Wall to do the mastering. I did the production myself, but I sent it over to him, and he's done all of the Hotline TNT stuff. He like, I'm pretty sure he produced and recorded the first Weed record. So he's been working with
oh,
Will Anderson for like the longest time. And he was like, "Nah, man, I don't really think it sounds too much like Hotline TNT." And I actually had the chance to show the song to Will to Flip. I don't know what he wants to be called. I remember I met him and I was like, "Should I call you
I
Flip? Or is that like an internet persona?"
yeah, when I interviewed him, it was Will. He wanted
It was
Will.
Will. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think he actually goes by Will, but he said the tune was okay too, so I'm all right with that one. I'm also really big into Feeble Little Horse. I went to their first show in the city, which was at this kind of like hilariously DIY spot. It's this rental space in Bushwick called the Living Gallery, where like kids do shows all the time. But before those were really happening, I went to this Feeble Little Horse one. It was with TNT, but also Computer Wife was playing, and I think Joyer, who are from Boston.
that's a good lineup.
It was a fantastic lineup, and I was like, not freshly 15, but far off from 16. Wasn't really going to like those types of shows. I was listening to the music for sure. I like to think that I'm pretty updated on like what's cool right now. I'm doing air quotes. I know you won't be able to see that. But that was like my first exposure to like these musicians who were really doing some shit that I find groundbreaking. And I just remember going to that show and they were like super down to earth. I had conversations with Seb from Feeble Little Horse, and it was really awesome just like knowing that they were people too. I got the set list and it was done on like biochem homework, unlike the other side of it. So it's like, dude, you're still in college. Like this could be me in a couple of years.
That's
That was real inspiring. Um, those are like the two biggest current inspirations. I could go on all day about either one of those bands, but besides that, stuff from the 90s, Sonic Youth and Husker Du were two really big ones too. Husker Du in specific, I've been trying to like speed my music up just because like I'm really obsessed with that idea of taking a pop song and just really cranking it up, turning up the amps, making it more distorted, fuzzier, and louder. That type of thing has always been really interesting to me because I like a band that can kind of keep that melodic edge and they get like a little artsy or a little more experimental. So those are two big ones too. And then if I had to think about stuff that like wasn't totally obvious when you do listen to Autumn Rhythm, I'm really into like a lot of heavier music, not really heavy in a like metal sense or like in a musical sense, but maybe just in like a creative sense, like more experimental, kind of weirder, noisier bands. And I would have to go with like Big Black and Brainiac, some like touch and go stuff. Um, all of that is also a big part of my character and like what I like when I'm listening to music, but I don't think I can write music like that.
definitely. Um, man, am I just want to say, like, as a total aside, I'm excited to hear the newer stuff now, like especially like faster, because you write
Yeah,
very melodic, like they're, I mean, I don't want to say poppy because like they're not poppy, but they're poppy in a sense like it's a really catchy song. And hearing that's like sped up more and harder is gonna be really interesting. So
Yeah.
anyway with that. But then I want to move the discussion over to Joy for Tomorrow
For
because
sure.
obviously it's the most recent record. I mean, going back to Paper Lanterns, which that came out in 2022, which and you mentioned this before, but you are very recent with making or at least putting out music.
Hmm.
But leading up to the music, and kind of leading up to the release of Joy Tomorrow, because that's just what I want to focus on. What what got your start in music? I know you mentioned previously like your parents raised you on fine art and stuff, but like what got you picking up a guitar, and then what got you, because you record everything on the albums, correct?
Yes.
So like what got you in to learn all those instruments? What got you first initially like in that push to start making music?
Well, I have to credit my parents for always being super encouraging in terms of like the stuff I was making. Both like visual art and music, they've always been super supportive. So from the time I was like 4, there was like a toy drum kit in the house. And I used to go downstairs, and for the first like 10, 11 years of my life, I'd bang on it once a month, and that was about the extent of my music. Um, Sometimes I'd go on the family computer and like whack out shit on GarageBand, but it's all super unlistenable because I was, just gaining sentience. So my experiences with music up until I was 11 were pretty limited, but uh, I stopped playing baseball in the 6th grade, and my mom signed me up for music lessons at a local music school. And I just remember I met other kids who played instruments and began to find out that I could do something more with music if I wanted to. And I became, a reasonably accomplished drummer within the school, made their like scholarship program and played some shows.
Wait a second, wait a second. Were you a School of Rock kid?
Yeah.
I
I'm so hesitant to like say because it's so like
I worked there. I taught drums.
seriously, you taught drums.
Over last summer. I think it's great. Horse Girl and Lifeguard are both School of Rock bands, I believe.
No shit, really?
Yeah, when I interviewed them,
That's awesome.
I don't know about Lifeguard, but Horse
On a rhythm. I don't know if you could call us a school of rock band because we've only had like some kids that I met through the program in the
uh,
band at various points. And it definitely wasn't like what inspired me to start like releasing music, but it definitely did teach me how to like work with other musicians. It taught me how to like gain some confidence as a performer. So it did a lot for me.
yeah.
But in the end, I remember just saying like this is just way too much like Deep Purple and shit. Like I can't be playing this. So um when music lessons kind of had to take a backseat for me because of the pandemic, I remember I'd be at home really bored by like whatever stuff I was doing. I was in a band playing drums with some friends, but we were like, still a cover band, and I was really young, and I felt like I should be doing something more with music because I had all this free time. So my dad had bought a guitar. He found this like he found the like cheapest American made guitar that he could find. He bought this Gibson, and he said, "I'm gonna learn guitar over quarantine," and he did. I mean, he knows some bass chords and stuff like that, but the reason he didn't was I started to pick it up every day and like teach myself chords and just do really basic things like that. So I was trying to teach myself guitar with the sole um like the sole reasoning behind it to be to write my own tunes because as a drummer it's really great. I love the energy. I love the the how high velocity it is to be a drummer. But I think it's a similar story with Jay Mascis too. He really liked the volume and the tension playing drums, but he wanted to write songs. So he switched to guitar and he tried to figure out how can I make a guitar feel like playing drums. So I think that like also contributes a lot to the loud, quiet, loud side of things in my music. But yeah, I started playing guitar. I'd already known a little bit of bass. That was also a School of Rock thing. So I wasn't going in completely blind, but I really just went in with this passion, this determination, and just a shit ton of time to do what I want to do. So I just taught myself a couple of chords and immediately tried to record some songs. GarageBand. I was doing it all through my phone, like up until after Paper Lanterns. That whole album was just recorded on my iPhone in the basement. We have this room covered in like acoustic foam, kind of a DIY project of the dude who lived in this house before us. His son was a metal drummer, so we built that for him. And I would just stay down there. I would record the drums first and then do some really rudimentary guitar, some rudimentary bass. And I had my friends sing on the first couple of releases I did under a different name. and then I just gained the confidence to sing myself. And one day I was making a song and realized, oh, I'm doing everything. Like, I know how to do all the parts of this, and I can just kind of take what's in my head and make it real now because I have the skills to do so.
Beautiful. And then, so kind of going off of that, like, I mean, I know you do everything yourself. You have the knowledge to do it, but you can talk about strictly the releases that you have out, or you can talk about in general now, because I know you're working on stuff now.
Mhm.
Like, what does an average songwriting and recording process look like for you? Because it's wildly different for everybody. And
Yeah.
I just love asking this to people, like, what does it look like for you? How do you think your process might be separate from other people's, if you think it is?
Um, well, I think my process is separate from most people just because when I like think of a song, I usually come up with the guitar first and I just hear what the bass sounds like or hear what the drums sound like in my head and I can go and do that. But for me, it's always started with guitar and then gone to bass and drums. And on a good number of the songs that I have out, the song was fully recorded and sometimes kept as an instrumental for a while before I came up with like what the vocal melody would be, what the lyrics were. So I think I'm kind of unique in that the lyrics have always seemed to come last for me. But it's kind of a shifting process now. Around the time of Joy for Tomorrow, I started writing occasionally with our then bassist, my friend Ethan. So when I was working with him, it tended to be guitar and bass first and then vocals, but then we would do the drums later just because, we'd be sitting writing side by side. And that's how like one or two of the songs on Joy for Tomorrow kind of came to be. The stuff we released as singles before, Recall and Dragonfly, were both written that way. And now I really don't know what it's going to look like because we did get a new lineup after Joy for Tomorrow. I'm now playing with my friends Sam and Jesse on drums and bass, and my friend Ison, who's attending Bard College right now and plays with me in another band I'm in called Sugar Glass, is going to come in and work on writing with me. So my process has kind of been weird and super isolating as a result of me like starting to write songs during the pandemic. For me, it's most comfortable sometimes just to be in my little bubble and work things out in my head. But I'm kind of as I like age and mature and like make art for longer, I really do see like the benefit and the love in making music with other people. So the process is definitely going to change for me as I go forward. I don't know if it's just going to look like me writing guitar and passing it off to the guys, or if it's going to look like me teaching them the parts, but then they add their own little flares to it. I'm going to see, but it's really interesting. It definitely adds a new like dimension to things.
Interesting. So I just want to confirm, you are recording with, like, the band will be on future recordings then, correct?
Yeah, for the most part, Autumn Rhythm has been like just me recording,
Mhm.
but I think that like a big part of like the unity of being in a band does come from everybody writing stuff in the same room. So I want to try and do that for a couple tracks. There will probably be a few songs where I like get neurotic and say, "Holy shit, this would be great," and whip something up in 3 hours just because it's like, okay, that part fits into that part. Now I can put the drums on this. Sometimes things like really fall like dominoes into place, like all in my head. But increasingly, I'm finding things are more interesting when I like sit down and give them the time to breathe, give the songs a little bit more time, pass them through others' hands. So I'm gonna see how that goes too.
What got you into using alternate tunings?
Oh man, probably Sonic Youth. I've read a ton about them. I like could say they're my favorite band. They're definitely the most inspiring band to me. Um, I think that like guitar interplay is really cool when like one guitar and the other guitar are kind of doing separate interlocking lines. So I'm trying to play with that, especially now that we have Ison coming on to work with us for a bit. Um, and just reading about how Sonic Youth used to use alternate tunings was really, really cool for me because, most of what I had written up until really getting into them had been in standard, and just hearing these sounds out of a guitar, these really strange chords, these chords where it was like, the same note being played on three different strings. I had never thought to do things that way. And I just think it's really cool to use that to your benefit to write songs that don't sound standard because they're not in standard tuning.
Cool. And then lyrically, if you're willing to talk about it, because I mean, this can be difficult for a lot of songwriters, but when you're writing lyrics, what do you take from? Let me rephrase that question. So, like, where do lyrics come? So first, I just want to know, where do lyrics come in the songwriting process? First, last, middle? or does it totally
Um,
depend?
some like mostly in the past they've came last. It was just kind of like I had the song and like this is what I'm feeling right now. I'll sing it over what I have pre-existing. But as I like kind of shift more into this new songwriting mode I've been in for the past couple of months following the release of last record, I'm putting a bit more like time into the lyrics, so they kind of tend to write themselves a little bit earlier. And now it's kind of in the middle of the process.
Gotcha. And then when you are writing lyrics for a song, is it more informed by the mood of the song or what you're going through at the time?
It's always kind of been what I'm going through at the time. I think we have some songs that kind of sound like a bit more triumphant, a little more like bright and poppy, but then they're about like some really depressing shit, stuff that makes me anxious, stuff that makes me sad. Um, a lot of my songs are about like my interactions with people and how sometimes it can be hard for me to open up. And a lot of other ones are about like whatever struggles I've had with like anxiety and things like that. And like a good number of them, additionally, aren't really about much of anything at all. They're just kind of like poetry to me. So I think I'm the type of songwriter that puts the lyrics no matter what they are on the song. And it's just how I'm feeling, like what's from the heart, not what fits the song.
Gotcha. I kind of want to switch over to maintaining a band and maintaining an ethos for a band because
Sure thing.
lineup changes. It's always been centered around you, but lineup changes are difficult. And um, when I listen to your music, I even though even though it sticks close to certain genres and certain styles, there's still distinctions between each release. Especially like I hear a lot of distinctions between Paper Lanterns and Joy for Tomorrow. So when you're making a project, and also like for this upcoming one, what do you draw from, and what ethoses do you take from to try to make a project unique from another one? And then if you can kind of go into what we can expect ethos wise, sound wise, more than you already have for the new project. Yeah.
I'd say most of the differences between Paper Lanterns and Joy for Tomorrow come from like uh dually what I was listening to while I recorded it and how I recorded them. So Paper Lanterns was super rudimentary. I did everything in my basement and it was all recorded through my phone, so it's a super lo-fi project. And I was listening to shit like car seat headrest and things like that. Some very like I just started high school type of music. So I feel like some of those influences can seep through at times. I'm a little whinier and like it's a little more lo-fi. Joy for Tomorrow, on the other hand, I kind of like refine things because I got an interface, I got some microphones, I can mic the drums, I can mic the guitar amps, and now all of a sudden like things can go into a bit of a higher fidelity, and that kind of like opens you up a bit because you can do more when your equipment sounds a little bit better. So I started drawing from some more places on Joy for Tomorrow. I definitely tried to incorporate more shoegaze into the mix because it's music I've always been interested in. And like, the ability to have those nice fuzzy tones recorded and preserved and like, up in the mix a bit more was really good. Going forward, I feel like the plan is just to try and incorporate even more of like what I like from music into my music. I know that right now we've kind of been into like some early emo stuff and like some scrams. I want to see if there can't be like a bit more yelling on the record. That doesn't really extend only to like screamo or anything. I also think that in a punk context that'll be cool. And I was talking before about like, revving up the speed a bit on a couple of the songs. That totally ties into that too. But I'm also trying to have like some prettier stuff, some more instrumental passages. I feel like a lot of things are very lyrically focused and very structurally focused on the past Autumn Rhythm records. So if I can do stuff that's like a little bit more free flowing, a little bit more organic, that'd be great. I think it's gonna come a little easier to me now because I'm gonna be, working with other people on it.
And then so kind of wrap it up here. I have like two more things for you.
For
So
sure.
you've mentioned like you're a senior in high school, very
Yes.
like very new to releasing music, and there is still a lot of time ahead of you when it comes to music, but also just in life in general. What are the future plans as of now?
Well, the future plans right now are to like try and not bury myself in too much work on top of college apps. And
Yeah. Where are you applying? If you want to talk about it, where are you applying?
I'm applying to like a lot of different places. I'm going to apply to Bard College, the University of Vermont, A couple of state of New York schools, Purchase and Binghamton. There's a great music scene at Purchase, one that I have a lot of friends in. And then on top of that, I also want to apply to a couple of schools, which might be reaches. So like Tufts and Swarthmore, and then the big one for me is Brown. I would be thrilled if I could go there, but for anybody, that's a long shot.
Mhm.
Anywhere I want to go to school, I want to do music there. So I'm trying to pick places that are either in very like musically inclined areas or have, some really cool campus music culture attached to them because, I feel like I'm from a small town and I feel like getting into a school and being surrounded by so many more like different types of kids. I really want to like get involved, have a sense of community there, really build things up and take it from there. So I
Hey,
don't know if I'm gonna like keep the projects I have now in college or form new ones or what, but
hmm,
I
hey,
definitely want to keep doing what I'm doing now and like connect it to more people.
check out Marquette. We have no music scene, uh, but it works. I mean, Milwaukee has a pretty decent music scene. Like it's a pretty strong
Milwaukee's
one.
dope.
It's about a like 30-70 split between like pretty decent, like honestly, actually good. I'll go good indie rock. There's a lot of creative bands here, and like 70% just blown out rap, and it's awesome. Uh,
Are you
yeah,
like
I
going to
don't,
a lot
I
of rap
don't
shows
know.
and stuff?
What was that?
Do you like go to rap shows?
I've been to a few. They're crazy.
Yeah, no, that's a totally different crowd from like indie rock, but I think it's really interesting.
No, yeah, but no, honestly, I don't know if if Milwaukee's calling your name for what you want, but hey, we'd love to have you. But then on top of college, like future plans with music, like obviously you're recording right now. We don't have to talk about that again because we talked a lot about it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm yapping
Um,
about
what's
it.
what's the 10-year plan?
What's the 10-year plan?
I want the 10-year plan.
I don't know. Get an apartment, get a cat, sell out, make my millions. If I could be afforded my own reality TV show somewhere in the mix, I think I would spring for that opportunity. If I'm like doing my own thing and like NBC wants to hook me up with a deal to like make my own reality TV show, like Big Brother style, I would do that.
Mhm.
You know, get into sports maybe.
Awesome. And then to wrap it up, because I'm pretty sure I have the free plan of Zoom, and I guess it said you can only have 40 minutes a day. Uh
Dude,
oh, running out of time. I just got the running
dude,
out of
where's the
time.
Zoom?
Oh wait, we got 10 minutes left. We got 10 minutes left. We're
Oh,
good.
we're chilling. We're good. We're good.
Okay, okay. Well, I mean, I only had one more question, but
All right.
it's not even a question. Just what should people know about you?
What should people know about me? That's a really big one. I feel like I'm telling people too much about me when I like talk too much about the musical side of things, that it like gets less personal. But I don't know. I think I'm still figuring out who I am. I think most of us are, but for me, that's definitely the case because, to an extent, I'm far removed from any sense of like a music scene. Just being that we play a lot in New York City, but I'm out on Long Island, so I don't know. I kind of do my own thing. I'm pretty quiet. I'm definitely like not hesitant, but still getting used to speaking about the art that I make. And I don't know. I'm just kind of excited to break out of that shell and to keep things going, watch things snowball. I mean, you're definitely a huge inspiration seeing how many more people are beginning to listen to your output and stuff like that.
It's algorithms, man. It's nothing.
It's
It's
still amazing. It's like dead ass, like super inspiring. Um, so I don't know. I think if I had to tell anyone anything about me, it's just that I identify so heavily with what I make. Even if it's not something that a lot of people are into, I just really enjoy creation and the opportunity to express myself to others. And I'm still getting used to how that feels, but I'm really enjoying it. It's a really cool thing. Music is sick.
yes, it is. Well, Joy, that's all I got for you. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
doing this.
so much. This was a really lovely opportunity. This is like the first or second time I've been asked to do something like this. So I'm really thrilled.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks a lot. It was a pleasure. This has been Joey from Autumn Rhythm. I'm Tom Effling from the Marquette Wire. So thanks for tuning in. Have a good one, guys.